Welcome to another installment of Beach Volleyball Rules. Today we're going to be looking at the pursuit rule and what each player on the court is and is not allowed to do in this case. A great example of this type of play happens in the first set in this FIVB match between Italy and Brazil. Lupo's dig is directed back over the net, but since it crosses the net outside of the antenna, the possession doesn't switch over to Brazil's side. This allows Nikolai to chase after the ball and bring it back. When Nikolai brings the ball back, the ball also has to go outside the antennas. If it went between the antennas, it would be a dead ball. Also notice that Nikolai was allowed to run on the court on Brazil's side. He didn't have to go around the post or even around the antenna. In a case like this, Brazil actually has to allow him to run across their side of the court unobstructed. They could be called for interference for intentionally getting in his way, keeping him from getting to the ball. Interference in that scenario is actually outlined in the FIVB casebook. I haven't been able to find an example of someone getting called for interference in this exact manner, but I found something very similar in an old match involving Sean Rosenthal and Jake Gibb. In this play, the Brazilian blocker forgets which sport he's playing and tries to take a charge against Sean Rosenthal as he's trying to chase down a pass from Jake Gibb. The referees determined that there is no reason for that blocker to move into that exact position other than to get in Sean's way. So even though he stayed fully on his own side, he was called for interference. This has to be an extremely tough call to make since the referee has to determine what the blocker's intentions were mid-point. I think this call really could have gone either way, but I'd like to think that the fact that Brazil obviously flopped there helped the referee make the call against him. Come on, man, stay on your feet. This isn't soccer. It's important to note that in the case of pursuit, the ball has to cross the net outside the antenna. If it crosses inside the antenna, the other team has the right to play it or not. So if a player chases that ball down and tries to bring it back, it's an automatic fault. In fact, if the ball crosses the net between the antenna and a player chases it down, they can and should be called for interference if the other team is obstructed from playing the ball. In this match between Brazil and Germany, a German player chases down a ball that went over the net between the antenna. The German player had absolutely no reason to be on the other side of the court, since he can't play the ball at all. Strangely, the referee ended up calling a replay on this. I couldn't exactly tell you why, because the casebook clearly states that if one player obstructs another in this case, even without touching that player, interference should be called. That's it for this topic. Have fun out there, and remember, don't be soccer.